Texas Tech men's basketball is set to tip off their 2025-2026 campaign in a couple of weeks. But we've got breaking news for Grant McCaslin and crew as the Red Raiders have landed the commitment of four-star shooting guard from the class of 2026 in DaKari Spear. In today's video, we'll discuss his skill set, how I think he fits seamlessly into a Jeff Linder backcourt, and much, much more. Let's get to it. Hey, how's it going, everybody? It's RC Maxfield here for the Red and Black Report. Appreciate y'all tuning into today's video. We'll have plenty of Texas Tech men's basketball content here on the channel moving forward as tip-off is just a few days away. I'd be remiss, though. Shout out to the missus. It's our anniversary, so tell Mrs. Maxfield happy anniversary down in the comments for me. October 13th, got married on Friday the 13th. Anyway, I'm digressing. This is a DaKari Spear video. Okay. And this is a guy we've talked about here on the channel a few times. He's a guy that multiple people have told me that are much more entrenched in the high school, grassroots ranks of basketball, that this guy, if he could shoot at a higher level, and I'll get to my shooting analysis for him here in a second, that he may be a top 10 player in this class. But without further ado, let's go ahead and look at his recruiting profile. You see it right there. He goes to Dynamic Prep in the DFW area, Dallas to be exact. He is 6'5", 190, the 69th overall player in the class of 2026, according to 247 Sports Composite Rankings. Can I get a nice? You know what I mean. Okay, this came down to three schools, though, for DaKari Spear, who announced his commitment over on his IG on Monday, October 13th. It came down to Vanderbilt, Texas Tech, and Syracuse, okay? The Red Raiders gave him a pretty solid amount in the NIL, at least rumored amount, when it came down to it. But this was a guy that they were heavily involved in, and they were really going after about four guards in the class of 2026. They really liked DaKari because, just like me, I think that this staff understands, and obviously they understand way better than me, but this is my analysis as well, that if the biggest issue you have in your game is shooting a basketball, we can teach that, okay? We can't teach athleticism. We can't teach in terms of just sheer instinctual basketball IQ. You can obviously improve that, right, in terms of the basketball IQ, but some guys are just better off with it, and they understand and have that innate feel for the game, right? DaKari Spear has that. Okay, he's one of those guys, in my opinion. Now, let's get back and look at the scouting report according to 247 Sports. This from Adam Finkelstein, you see right there on your screen. Spear is an intriguing long-term prospect because of his combination of physical tools and scoring versatility. A 6'5" guard with a 6'10" wingspan. He has good perimeter size and length. He also cut up with broad shoulders, a strong base in his lower body, and the type of frame that could really explode in the college weight room, ultimately allowing him to play a couple of different positions. Offensively, he shows flashes of being a three-range scoring threat. He came up the ranks with the reputation as a shot maker, but made just 26% of his threes on over 4 attempts per game in the EYBL play. He's still as confident as a shooter who looks like a projectable floor spacer at times. He can also rise up with the mid-range pull-ups over the top of contesting defenders with the high release. He's not necessarily a dynamic ball handler, but he is starting to utilize his size and increasing strength to make hard and physical straight line drives to the rim in the open floor. While Spear's skill set has some occasional inefficiencies, so too can his motor in terms of being inconsistent. Now, he's playing hard and fully asserting himself, though. That's when he's not only starts putting more pressure on the rim, but utilizing his physical tools to impact the game on the defensive end of the floor. That from Adam Finkelstein of 247 Sports. Now, that was the scouting report for him. I think it is very important to have a caveat here. DaKari Spear last summer on the EYBL circuit was bothered by an injury in the upper part of his body, okay? It wasn't fully disclosed, but you could tell he wasn't 100%. And a lot of people in the industry think to themselves, okay, is that why he shot poorly? Like, again, I'm not saying he's Chance McMillan. I'm not saying he's Davide Moretti right now at this current stage of his career, but he is a guy that showed really high flashes of shot making and shot creating ability the previous summer and through his high school year in terms of his sophomore campaign. Now, did that injury hurt him in terms of his, well, summer? Probably. But he is a guy that, in my opinion, watching the film, and again, not acting like I've watched every game for him, but the limited film that I have seen, I love the fact that he is a long-rangey wing. He mentioned it in the scouting report. Did Finkelstein there? I think DaKari Spear can play regardless of where you need him to, any position in the backcourt, so the 1 or 2. And I think he can even play the 3. And in some small ball lineups, after he gains some weight, I could put him at the 4. I'm not going to, have that as my preference, but if there are other guards on the roster at that time for Texas Tech that I just can't get off the floor, I could feel good with DaKari Spear at the 4 spot in a small ball lineup because of the length. And at this point in his career, I would assume he's put on about, 20, 25 pounds. He's a guy that I think fits seamlessly in terms of the projectability of this roster because let's face it, ladies and gentlemen, enjoy JT Toppin and Christian Anderson while you got him because Christian Anderson is going to be a lottery pick in the 2027 or 2026 NBA draft, He's that good, okay? But JT Toppin will also be a first-round pick. Texas Tech will have 2 first-round picks in the 2026 NBA draft, in my opinion, right? But you've got a guy in Jalen Petty where you need to learn the name. He will be a backup guard for the Red Raiders. He was the 4-star guard that Texas Tech landed very late in the process, and the Red Raiders under Grant McCasland have now landed for a 3rd consecutive season, a 4-star guard. Obviously, the most notable one, Christian Anderson. Then you've got Jalen Petty, and now you've got DaKari Spear. Long-winded way of me saying this. DaKari Spear alongside Jalen Petty, I think is a seamless fit for the Red Raiders in a backcourt that I think if DaKari can really get his shot making up just even a little bit, I don't need him to be some of those names that I mentioned earlier in terms of Moretti or McMillan or anything like that. I don't need that. What I need him to do is be a serviceable shooter and where defense respect him because I think he is going to make his money in terms of impact early on as a true freshman or an underclassman as a slasher, and a guy like Jalen Petty, who is a good shot creator and maker off the bounce, also really good passer as well, is a seamless, perfect fit, in my opinion, next to DaKari Spear. And I think Spear is a guy that really can hide some of those flaws that Jalen Petty might have due to the lack of size. Again, Jalen Petty is going to be in that range of probably about 5'10", 5'11" on a good day. Think Elijah Hawkins, okay? That's probably what you need to think of in terms of size for Jalen Petty. I think DaKari Spear can play early on, and I think him and Jalen Petty will be really, really good in the backcourt for Texas Tech. Don't hear what I'm not saying, though. I am not saying DaKari Spear will be a starter as soon as he gets on campus. Does he have the capability and talent to do so? Sure, he's going to have to earn that, but don't get it twisted. The Red Raiders are going to be heavily involved in the transfer portal as they have just absolutely been since Grant McCasland has been on campus, and damn it, he really hadn't missed. I mean, the biggest miss Grant McCasland has in the transfer portal cycle so far is, Kevin Overton. And if you watch this channel back, dating this time last year and a little further back, you know my feelings on Kevin Overton. Thrive down in Auburn, young prince. Thrive down in Auburn, young prince. All right. Man, okay. Well, DaKari Spear. The Red Raiders landed a 4-star guard in the class of 2026. This is a guy I'm really excited about. Again, I think he's going to be a lot better of a shot maker and creator than really this stage of his career right now because he's going to have a guy like Jeff Linder really teaching and coaching him up, and that's going to get me really excited in the sense of Jeff Linder is the best developer of guards in the country, and I think you're going to see DaKari Spear really make an impact, maybe as a bench player first, as a true freshman, but he's a guy that has long-term all Big 12 type potential at the guard spot for the Red Raiders. So I really like this addition by Buff McCaslin, Linder, everybody on the staff that poured any kind of time into landing this commitment. This one's a big one for the Red Raiders and the first commitment for Texas Tech in the class of 2026, and probably the last. I'll be honest, because they're going to go heavy into the portal, are the Red Raiders, as I mentioned a little earlier. But if you're excited about Texas Tech men's basketball landing yet another 4-star guard, this time in the class of 2026, in Dynamic Prep's 4-star shooting guard, Dynamic Prep obviously being in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, DaKari Spear, he's a guy, if he can shoot in that 32, 33% range from three, you've got a really good player. I mean, a really, really good player, and a guy that I think can be a difference maker, not only on the offensive side of the floor, but the defensive side of the floor. All right, that's going to do it for today's commitment video. Appreciate y'all tuning in. If you haven't already, be sure to like the video and hit that subscribe button to stay in the know on all things Texas Tech men's basketball all year long. And not just men's basketball. Texas Tech football is pretty damn good right now too, people. They're doing pretty good. Yeah. 7th in the country right now at the time of this recording. That seems pretty damn good to me. So if you want to stay in the know on both Texas Tech men's basketball and football, whether it's in the portal, high school recruiting, injury news, anything in between, we've got you covered right here on the largest group of Texas Tech fans on YouTube, almost 13,000 strong. Maybe by the time this video is released, we'll have 13K. We'll have to see. But I appreciate each and every one of y'all tuning in. And if you're not a part of the RBR squad, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Again, it's 100% free. It doesn't cost you anything. Nothing at all. All right. I'm RC Maxfield, reminding you, as always, stay safe and Wreck 'em Tech.